In the spring of 1976, a man walked into the most secure bank in France, carrying nothing but a $5 wind-up alarm clock. This diagram of the vault's cross-section illustrates the logic of his experiment. He rented a safety deposit box, locked the ticking clock inside, and went home to wait. He needed to answer one specific question. When that alarm started screaming at midnight, would anyone hear it? Midnight came and went in silence. The bank's engineers assumed their walls were impenetrable, so they didn't install acoustic sensors. Albert Spaggiari spent his days in a small studio on Rue de France, charging fair prices for wedding photos and family portraits. He was also a decorated paratrooper from the Indochina War, a veteran returning with a head full of secrets and a quiet contempt for institutions. The bank built their defenses to stop brute force thieves. They were completely unprepared for a military tactician probing their logic for vulnerabilities. The stakes were astronomical. The Société Générale vault held the fortunes of the French Riviera elite, thousands of private boxes filled with undeclared cash, smuggled gold, and illicit diamonds. To protect all that wealth, the building relied on a massive time-locked steel door. Once it swung shut at 6 o'clock on Friday evening, nobody, not even the bank director, could open it until Tuesday morning. Spaggiari studied the building for over a year. He realized the engineers had fortified the walls and the doors, but left the floor exposed. This subterranean map reveals what Spaggiari found by exploring the 19th century sewer lines beneath the city. Exactly 8 meters of dirt separated a municipal storm drain from the underside of the vault floor. The designers built a brilliant 2-dimensional trap to stop thieves at the door, but they completely ignored the 3-dimensional space sitting entirely exposed underneath it. Spaggiari traveled to Marseille to recruit 20 specialized underworld contractors. He needed welders, locksmiths, and ex-soldiers who could keep their mouths shut. For 60 nights, this crew tunneled through the earth. They stood waist-deep in human waste for hours at a time, breathing air so thin with toxic fumes that men frequently passed out in the dark. To avoid drawing the attention of sanitation crews above ground, they couldn't use wheelbarrows. Every handful of dirt they excavated was hauled out inside their own pockets. Spaggiari didn't direct this from his comfortable studio. The soft-spoken photographer was down in the filth every single night, digging alongside his crew. This phase of the operation operated on the exact logic of a protracted military siege. They were slowly, brutally digging their way under the castle walls. The breach required uninterrupted privacy. Spaggiari timed the finish for the 14th of July, Bastille Day, taking advantage of a holiday weekend that guaranteed the bank would be shut down for 96 consecutive hours. On the night of July 16th, the crew crawled through the final stretch of tunnel and cracked through the reinforced concrete floor. The moment he stepped inside the vault, Spaggiari pulled out an acetylene torch and immediately welded the massive steel door shut from the inside. The bank engineers spent years designing a door that couldn't be opened from the outside. By weaponizing that design, Spaggiari turned a vulnerable crime scene into his own private, impenetrable safe room. Over the next 3 days, the crew set up a folding picnic table in the middle of the vault, dining on fine foie gras and bottles of red wine, while surrounded by stolen millions. They worked in relentless, systematic shifts. Using a custom-built hydraulic press, they steadily popped open 371 individual safety deposit boxes. They packed up stacks of francs, unstamped gold ingots, and velvet pouches of diamonds, hauling out an estimated $30 million in today's money. A sudden summer storm rolling over the coast forced them out early. Runoff rapidly flooded the sewer lines, threatening to drown the men still inside the vault. Before slipping back into the tunnel, the crew painted a final message on the wall. To defeat handwriting analysis, a different man painted each individual letter of the sentence. Without hatred, without violence, without weapons. The team exited the vault after 96 hours of total, unhurried control. Every move followed a calculated logistical plan, treating the heist as a systematic extraction of wealth rather than a desperate robbery. When the bank manager arrived Tuesday morning, the time lock released, but the door refused to move. It took the police 6 hours to cut their way through the welded steel. The investigation stalled for months until an ex-girlfriend of one of the gang members walked into a police station in Marseille and provided a name. Following his arrest in Nice, Spaggiari calmly confessed to organizing the entire operation, but he treated the interrogation like a psychological game, refusing to identify a single accomplice. During a meeting with an investigating judge, Spaggiari handed over a fake diagram of the tunnel. As the judge looked down, Spaggiari stood up, walked to an open second-story window, and jumped into the sunlit courtyard below. Even sitting in police custody, he relied on his foundational strategy. He identified where his target's attention was focused, found the blind spot, and exploited it. He rolled off the roof of a parked car and immediately hopped onto the back of a waiting motorcycle. A few weeks later, the owner of that car received an anonymous check in the mail to cover the roof damage. Spaggiari spent the rest of his life moving freely between South America and Europe. He died of natural causes 12 years later, having never spent another day in a cell. The designers of the Société Générale vault believed absolute security was achievable. Albert Spaggiari proved that any system can be dismantled by a single person, willing to look exactly where the engineers aren't.